Welcome back to Interjections. Today we have a 3-person panel here. I've got Irfan and Mikko joining me. No Andrew today. I have no idea where he is. And for someone who accuses people of quiet quitting, he has himself snuck away into the quiet without giving us a reason. Mikko, do you remember why Andrew is not here today?
I remember him explaining something about mini vacation, but I don't know what are these talks.
What is a mini vacation for your average Detroit homeowner?
I have no idea. I mean, Andrew doesn't live too far away from where I am. Detroit's not that far away, but I couldn't begin to guess what a mini vacation looks like. I will take this opportunity, like he takes his opportunities every single time, to just say that yes, in fact, he's probably quiet quitting. Maybe he's got a side podcast project going on that he's not telling us about. But this absence was very mysterious. You're right. It wasn't. We weren't beholden to a lot of details as to why he couldn't make it today. So something is afoot.
Maybe he's gone down to the Everglades. Is that a thing? Like I just hear fucking Americans using that phrase.
Yeah,
down in the Everglades. I don't know what the fuck that means, sir.
It's down in Florida. So with all respect to Sterling, our boy, not a lot of reasons to go down to Florida, but maybe he is there. Who knows?
All right, well, that's enough messing about. Boys, let's get into it. Lecce and Udinese in the span of 3 days or so. 2 identical results here. 1-0 at home to Lecce and 1-0 away to Udinese. I'd like us to kind of compress the analysis of both these games into one and try to look at them as kind of like a mini series of 2 banana peel games against tricky opponents, home and away. I'll say that the Lecce game was hardly convincing, as was the Udinese game for the most part. I felt both were quite similar in the fact that we managed to get the result despite never really getting out of second or third gear. We steadily applied pressure for the most part, and eventually you bend the stick so much and then it snaps, and we were able to bend that stick and snap it without having to apply too much force. So on another day, maybe that stick doesn't break with the amount of force that we're applying, and that requires us to apply more force. And that's a whole other question of whether we have that more force available to us at this time. But we got the job done. And I think we're able to do so, mitigating most risk, although Lecce definitely had a few hairy moments. Mikko, take me through those games. Again, do you feel that they were quite similar, or is it just me, or am I being deceived by the score lines?
I think the Lecce game was maybe a bit more tricky one in the sense that we couldn't score that early. And I think the Napoli match was still having some effect there, or our team kind of our team was lacking. I think they were lacking effort. They were lacking attitude in the first half quite a lot, and that resulted very poor first half. Then the second half, it wasn't like super great, but we needed to make those few subs, which kind of made the difference. And I think in the end, we totally deserved the win, and I felt that we will end up scoring when they're in the second half at some point. We just piled the pressure so much that Lecce was pushed to their half like completely. But yeah, it was well said that both games were a bit kind of banana peel games, because it wasn't super confident in either games. I think Udinese match was we had a great great, but good first half. We could have scored more goals. Well, that's not an uncommon thing to say that we should have scored more goals, could have scored more, but Lautaro scoring early made obviously the whole thing a bit easier. Then, as we've seen many times, when we get scored that second goal, it becomes a bit more dicey, and luckily, or out of the kind of effort the team put there, we didn't let Udinese to. They had like one shot on goal in the whole match. That was in the first half when Barella was playing super stupidly in the inside out box, and he lost it, and they were able to get the scoring chance. Other than that, we didn't concede that much, even if Udinese was trying to put a bit of pressure in the end, but we contained that pretty well. Lecce I think they got a huge chance right before we scored, or like, I don't know, was it like 5-10 minutes before we scored? But that one was saved by Sommer basically. So we need to give credit to the guy when there's a chances. There haven't been that many chances to give credit to Sommer. So we didn't concede in either of the matches that much, but then there's always something. There's always something, some kind of thing. Sometimes I feel that we are so, I don't know, we are so offensively minded that sometimes we just forget that, okay, just play this properly, this defensive phase, and like the chance against Lecce, or the chance Lecce got, it was like very poorly played by many players, starting from Pio Esposito when he lost the ball. But I don't know, can we expect like perfect defensive games? I think we maybe in some seasons we've kind of used to those, but I don't know, now that we are missing a Cherby, or he's not at his peak anymore. I don't know, it feels there's always something kind of going on in defense, and the midfield is a bit, they are always eager to look for the attack, and I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of so used to us having like a really good defense that even these small things kind of stays in my mind, even if it's just like a one chance per match we concede. But all in all, very kind of professional, job done type of matches, and especially the Lecce one was a huge one, as I think all our rivals lost points in that round. Sorry, not all, because those were the Supercoppa postponed matches, I think so. But anyway, Napoli and Milan lost points on Wednesday / Thursday. So that win was a crucial one, and yeah, very very important to get these 6 points out of these two matches.
And Irfan, give me your thoughts on these games. I want to say that Zielinski was probably the kind of most even, solid performer across the 180 minutes. I felt like he was pulling the strings from midfield. Obviously, he's deputizing rather for Calhanoglu as the regista. And I feel like he's growing into the role, but I don't feel like it's so much him improving as a regista. I think it's just him growing more and more into the team as a regular starter, someone who's being trusted by the coach to play, 90 minutes on a regular basis, start games, play, more than the kind of bitch minutes that he was getting under Inzaghi, right? or these kind of filler minutes. He's getting proper minutes now as a starter. And I feel like you're seeing that confidence reflecting in the way he's playing. I feel like he's going for these really, both goals were scored by Zielinski in a diagonal position, putting a forward ball into Pio. So tell me about him. Give me your thoughts on his role, his performances, and I guess what other kind of standout performers you've made note of.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think he's starting to get a lot more comfortable in the team and he's executing his role well, but he just feels like a more cohesive unit, like a member of a more cohesive unit. So props to him for sure. I think he's done the most with, getting some additional playtime and he's been like a good glue for the team, right? In the sense that like on the pitch, he's able to connect a lot of things. And as a result, with Hakan injured, like he's playing very important minutes for us as well, and we really need him to continue to step up. And so far, he's been doing a great job. I think overall, like the two matches were, like you mentioned, pretty similar. I honestly I don't have much to say other than 6 points. Like they're pretty unremarkable matches, other than the fact that like we just got the job done. It was like grinding out 6 points, and it sounds like it's nothing, but it's actually pretty important for a club like this, which has recently, had moments where like we've just sort of dropped points from nothing. So the fact that we were able to keep two clean sheets, the fact that we were able to score some critical goals and gain some points on our rivals, I think that's like a pretty big deal, even if the matches themselves were pretty unremarkable. Um, the thing that disappointed me a little bit was sort of the inability in both of the matches to see something, better for some of our backup players. Like there was some rotation in the last two matches, and I don't feel like any of the players that were sort of rotating in did a particularly good job. I mean, we still sort of depended on Lautaro to come in and in a way like set up the first goal. I mean, set up the goal against Lecce, and then score the goal against Udinese. And you know, as much as I've hated on Lautaro in recent episodes, it is the sort of key element of his game that makes us competitive in the league. Um, I felt like there was a belief in that Lecce match that we weren't going to worry too much. We weren't going to panic because even after playing a really bad first half, we had Lautaro on the bench and we knew we could bring him on. And that's the sort of team, that's the sort of environment that he can definitely be a factor in. And so, sometimes I think we take that for granted, but I thought he did a really good job basically, getting the ball on goal and then Esposito sort of, taking advantage of the rebound and scoring for the goal against Lecce. And then in Udinese, he showed some pretty good patience and calm in the box to set himself up for the goal. So in both cases, like we really needed him to get those 6 points. And I think that's what was disappointing for me was, against these sorts of opponents, we should be expecting a little bit more from our reserves, a little bit more from our rotational players. And you highlighted Zelensky, and I think that's the right call. There should have been more players like Zelensky. I mean, Zelensky's now effectively a de facto starter with Hakan injured. But, when it comes to other players like Enrique or Esposito and Bonnie and like all of these guys, like I kind of expect more from them, especially given the price tags. I also saw that, Fratesi played some minutes in both of the matches, and he was, again, fairly anonymous and underwhelming as well. So that's my biggest concern is that, we're able to grind out 6 points, which is great. We're able to gain points on our opponents, which is great. Lautaro does his thing against these opponents, which is also great. But man, I'd like to see some more growth from some of the players who aren't full-time starters, and I'm just still not really seeing that. But again, that's the only negative I can think of. Two clean sheets is big, and 6 points picked up is big. This is the kind of run that you have in these seasons that really help to give you a cushion or help to determine kind of whether you're real contenders. And I think Inter has showed in these last 2 matches that they're going to be there till the end.
With regards to the players not, or some of the bench or reserve players not really giving the best account of themselves, I think you made an interesting comparison to, or an interesting point rather, in maybe omitting Zielinski from that argument because, as you said, he's a de facto starter now. I want to get your opinion on another de facto starter, and that is Luis Enrique. He has, I believe, started several games in a row at this stage. You know, there's no more experimentation with Diouf or whatever, Fratesi. Not that he ever played there, but Luis Enrique is the outright first choice in that position right now with Dumfries out and, you know, no Darmian fit to kind of tempt Kivo into going for that old, reliable Italian safety net kind of mentality. What are we feeling about Luis Enrique here? Because, you know, my thoughts were pretty negative. I just feel like he's a complete non-factor going forward. I still feel like he's so hesitant, so afraid of making a mistake that he effectively, you know, just castrates himself and makes himself very, very ineffectual going forward, which is again supposed to be his greatest asset. Having said that, I will say that I am somewhat impressed by his ability to help us retain possession. You know, when we try and play the ball out from the back or from the flank inwards or forwards, he's not caving under opponent pressure. He's able to pick out these accurate passes in between two defenders that are, you know, like 4 or 5 meters apart, meaning that you have to hit it hard enough and with the right amount of accuracy. And you have to have the vision for that as well. Those are the kinds of like small tunnels that someone like Dumfries doesn't dare pass through, or Darmian, you know, that's when these D'Ambrosio type guys just stop and pass backwards. But Luis Enrique's definitely displayed a level of competence in that particular area. But again, me personally, I'm just still waiting for much, much, much more going forward. I'm still not seeing him utilize his pace as much in offense. In defense, it's been seen a couple of times, which is good. But again, uh, where's the end product? Where's the output? I don't think this guy has. I don't even think this guy has really put in above like 3 crosses a game in the stretch of games that he's been starting. So, Mikko, is this a concern for you? Do you think it's just a matter of time until he kind of finds his groove, gets more confident like Zielinski, and starts being a legitimate attacking force? Or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we discussed this before in the previous episodes. I also like this his ability to absorb the pressure and still make a good pass. And I like his crisp passes. I really like them. I just wish he could use them in more kind of in the offensive phase, which is indeed lacking. I'm not yet concerned, but I kind of like, or I'm okay with the fact it has gone with the Luis Enrique that he started kind of with the defense. He has put that in order. He's pretty solid there actually, and then hopefully he's going to build on that, and hopefully he start to make some actual decisions other than always turning back and passing to Barella or Bissek when he's going forward with the ball. Now in this kind of latest games, I don't know, last month or something, I think he's got into the positions when he has the ball, he can triple forward like, I don't know, 10 to 20, even 30 meters. And usually he ends up passing sideways or backwards. And there's rarely a proper kind of opening pass or defense opening pass or something which would actually create something dangerous. And that is indeed what we are still missing in his game. But I I remain hopeful it will become there, but it's a bit strange he isn't doing that. He's not like trying it. Maybe he's just building the confidence that okay, I need to just play solidly and not do any mistakes. Mistake in a sense that you lose the possession. But I think it should be time for him to start try something. I don't know if it's just the timings of the runs of the players in front of him. He just can't spot the right pass or what is it. But it's pretty frustrating at the moment to watch him go forward with the ball, and it's always ends up like nothing. And like you said, there's like maybe one cross per match what he's kind of giving, and that's it. So maybe he could train them a bit more and then just start using the crosses. I think there are kind of opportunities to keep those crosses, but let's see. I'm not concerned yet, but I would hope he would kind of start putting up some more offensive actions.
It's all about the numbers, and Bro doesn't have any numbers right now. But let's leave the Lecce and Udinese discussion there, because we have a far more formidable beast to slay on the horizon. Fine. We are facing the greatest team in the world in 3 days. I am scared out of my wits. I think that this team that we're facing is probably a shoe-in to win a treble this season. In fact, I can't remember the last time where a treble was so kind of expected, but I really feel like they're going to do it. I'm of course talking about Arteta's Lions, Arsenal. Let's get stuck into this one. Firstly, give me your break down the difference between your logical and rational thoughts on how this game is going to pan out versus your emotional kind of response to this game as an Inter fan.
It's funny because I don't have that much of an emotional response to Arsenal, as I know you do. I don't really have a lot of animosity towards the team. I think they have some good players. I think they suffer from the same issue that most EPL teams suffer from, which is just unbridled hubris and extra attention, um, and kind of just generally overrating their players. But it's hard to argue with their results this year. I mean, they've been playing exceptionally well. They've basically been winning everything that they're supposed to win. So while I totally understand the buildup and the introduction that you laid, it's hard for me to care too much about this match, other than it's kind of become a little bit more important for us to try to pick up something, given we lost our last Champions League match. So that's my biggest sort of takeaway from this. um, I expect us, in all honesty, I expect us to play pretty well. We beat them last time, though it was somewhat controversial. I think 2 years ago when we played them. I think they're probably a better team now than they were at that time, and we're probably not as good as we were that time. But we're really gonna miss, I think, Hakan in this game. If we had our full starting rotation, I would have felt even better about the match. But honestly, man, I don't know if it's the post 5-0 result. Um, Nothing sort of scares me too much in the negative when it comes to Champions League. I feel like anything that happens is sort of a bonus. So I'm expecting us to kind of go into the match, and honestly, I feel like we're going to play okay. I'm not that concerned about it. I don't know if we can get points. I don't know if we're going to be able to swing a draw or actually beat these guys. It doesn't seem that we'll probably beat these guys, but I think we'll hold our own. I'm not that concerned about it. But really, given that it is Arsenal and the emotions involved, I think I'm more excited to hear about what you think and how you think this match is going to go. Because again, I don't follow Arsenal that much, but I don't seem that concerned about them, at least from an emotional standpoint. I'm able to kind of view this more of like a just important Champions League match rather than Arteta's Lions, as you said.
Rather than life or death. Look, I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for, when Milan win the Scudetto this season
Oh
and Arsenal
God.
win the treble. I'm just done with this sport forever. I've had enough football to last me a lifetime, so that's,
I mean,
that's the
if
plan for the next 6 months.
if Milan win the Scudetto, we have to disband the podcast. It's over at that point.
I agree. I will have lost all faith in all institutions if Milan wins the Scudetto, but here we are. Anyway, yeah, look, I think it's going to be really, really tough. I think Arsenal are, like I said, probably the best team in Europe. And as much as it makes me laugh to say that, I genuinely think it's pretty true. So I'm not expecting us to suddenly rise to the occasion when we've shown time and time and time and time again that we seemingly can't get it up. When we need it most. That's what the empirical evidence has shown us. So I don't know, guys. I'm not hugely enthused on this one. I really feel like it's going to be a difficult game, and I feel like it'll be low scoring, like 1-0, 2-1 kind of thing, 2-0. But I don't think we'll come up on top, unfortunately. I feel like they're playing a lot better than us right now, and they just have this kind of team of destiny thing where they're just bulldozing ahead. Although they did draw against fucking Nottingham Forest yesterday, so that's good to see. But maybe there is hope that there is another, inter-level capitulation on the horizon for Arsenal. So that'd be nice. But Mikko, do you hate these guys as much as everyone on the internet, or are you another, just disgusting altruist like Irfan? Well, I
Yeah.
don't hate them guys.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I'm at the Irfan side of this. I don't follow that much kind of football internet scene in general, more like a culture or Serie A in Twitter, and so I'm not that exposed to all the Arsenal stuff, but I've understood it is something else there. So I kind of understand the sentiment if you follow that kind of part of the internet world. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. I'm thinking now that Arsenal drew with Nottingham Forest, well, they have a still pretty nice lead there in the standings, because I don't know what is Manchester City doing really. They should pick it up. But Arsenal has a match against their old hated rival Manchester United in the weekend. I'm just thinking, are they going to rotate, and will that affect their kind of output? It's an away match for them. They are first in the standings in the Champions League as well. Their last match is against what it's called, this team from Kazakhstan, Kairat Almaty. So if I was Arteta, you could be looking at this match and say that, okay, maybe we just rotate this one. We don't consider this the most important match at this point of the season. But let's see, because for us this is super important. We need that 1 point to keep our top 8 Champions League phase position hopes alive. But about Arsenal as an opponent, I haven't watched them play, so I can't really analyze what kind of game they have. I've understood they rely on set pieces quite a lot, and looking at the stats of these past matches, they've had like 2 to 3 xG per match, so that's quite a lot. They should have won Nottingham Forest, at least based on the stats, but that's not how it goes always, as we know. Then I watched that against Liverpool, they had pretty uneventful match. Both teams had quite poor XG. So I don't know about you guys. I didn't see the match, so maybe it was something else. But based on the stats, nothing was happening in that match. Maybe we could try to kind of emulate that game plan to nullify Arsenal, especially as it's their away game and we are at home. But we saw how it went against Liverpool. That was close, almost a draw. But and I guess that would have been like a fair result, but that wasn't the case. So maybe we can try to do that again, minus the late goal conceded. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like you, Jay, mentioned. Arsenal looks pretty good. Maybe the best team at the moment in the world. So it's always a bit scary, even if they are visiting us. Like how it's gonna go. But I'm kind of secretly hoping that they are not putting like 100% effort on this match, as they have already also kind of tight schedule, a lot of matches coming all over the place, and while the title race is not like super close there, they know that City can start winning matches even if they've had like a super poor results actually recently. What's going on there? That's quite terrible actually.
City just got
should
fucking molested by Man United, like absolutely
Yeah.
dominant. They should have lost 5-0 that game. The only reason they didn't was
Okay.
because of Donnarumma.
And last time they won was late December, so they've like drew 3 games and now lost 1. Okay, I don't know. That they should do better. They should put more effort there to push some pressure on Arsenal. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough match, no matter who's playing there. I think Arsenal has deep enough squad that they will put us in difficulties. But yeah, I don't know. Hard to say.
Well,
Let's
let
hope
me
for the
ask
best.
Irfan here. I have one big question, and that's the midfield. You have to assume that Zielinski and Barella are going to retain their spots. Are you starting Mkhitaryan alongside them? Or, I mean, do we even have a choice? Like, the other option is what? Sucic? Is he ready for a game of this magnitude? Is he good enough for a game of this magnitude? Is Sucic even better than Mkhitaryan at this stage? Who are you starting?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. I am the thing that stresses me the most out about this team is our midfield. I don't feel like any player is really performing that well, even when they're healthy. And even Hakan, had his moments, but I thought he overall has had a pretty average year. Um, Zelensky, we talked about, has played better. So you're right. I don't know who you start. I think you have to start Mkhitaryan by default. I don't think I would start Sucic or anyone else. And I don't even know who else is available. I mean, you're not going to start Diouf. You're not going to start Fratesi. So I think your hand is sort of forced here to start Mkhitaryan and kind of hope for the best. Man, when I look at our midfield and I think about the system that we run, whether it's Inzaghi's system and now Kivu's, which is very similar, I feel like we're letting so much down in every match because of the performance of our midfield. Like if we just had like any sort of shooting skill and any sort of goal scoring instinct from our midfield, or if they were just a little bit more physical in some ways, I feel like the team would just click so much better. And like I really feel like not investing in a starting caliber midfielder to sort of replace one of Hakan or Mkhitaryan really cost us. And like I said, props to Zelensky for sort of plugging in that gap, and hopefully he continues to ascend and play really well and kind of keep us afloat. But that's really what's happening with our midfield. We're being kept afloat. We're not really thriving. And so that definitely concerns me. But it's a great question. I think you have to start Mkhitaryan. I don't think I've seen enough of Sucic to really earn a start. And my guess is that as long as the match is close or we're winning, we're probably going to see that midfield for the full 90 minutes. I just don't think that we can really rotate out in that midfield if we're serious about a game like this.
What about Frattesi? You don't see him being able to start this match?
I don't think so. I mean, he played the last 2 matches, and I don't know, guys. You tell me. It didn't seem like he did much of anything. And again, it's not entirely fair on him. I feel like it's tough to really make an impact when you come on, late in games and not that often in games. I think it's really tough. But again, there's some element of his sort of function in this system that is just really lacking. It just doesn't seem sort of cohesive. He's also not even finding himself in those positions and sort of, being physically able to get to certain balls and stuff like that the way he kind of used to be able to. At least he used to get what seemed like full effort and a little bit of like kind of hard nosed grinta from him. But I haven't even seen that in the last couple of matches he's played. And again, it's a little unfair because he hasn't played that much, and it's hard to bring that intensity when you go multiple matches without playing. But I don't know. I'm just not seeing enough of him where I would start him. And honestly, I don't even know if I'd bring him on as a sub.
I think against Lecce he wasn't bad. I think it was a good job to bring him in and kind of put him in there to play this physical game and running at people, because he doesn't
It might not
provide
be enough
much.
for Arsenal. I think you need a bit more sophistication, to be honest. Like on that
I
note,
don't know. Like, do you need that?
I think so. I mean, I was going to say, like, a lot has been made about our pressing game recently under Kivu. I think there's an enthusiasm to press deep and to press high up and try and win the ball back, and um, you know, uh, just could just focus a lot more energy in doing so. I want to say firstly that this isn't like a new thing. We used to do the same under Inzaghi as well. Just periodically in certain games against certain opponents. So I don't see why all of a sudden it's like a big thing. But I don't think it's working as well as people say, and I don't think it's going to work against better opponents either. I think it can be like a tactical strategy or just a tactic against weaker opponents who by default probably possessing less technically gifted players. That's the nature of these smaller Serie A teams, Pisa, whatever you want to call it. They're still playing Raul Albiol, you know what I mean? Or whoever it might be. But against the bigger teams, I don't think it's going to work as well. So I don't want to see us overcommit to this whole pressing identity. We're not Klinsmann, we're not Klopp's, Liverpool with the Gegan press and all this kind of stuff. So let's not let's not lose our heads over this. But look, point taken regarding Mkhitaryan versus Sucic. I won't ask Mikko that question because I know what the answer is going to be, and I agree that it probably has to be Mkhitaryan. Regretfully, were it a question of Mkhitaryan versus Zielinski, then yeah, absolutely, I'm taking the poll. I think is having a good season and a strong stretch of games. If Çalhanoğlu was fit, and it was a choice between those two, yes, Zielinski for me, absolutely. But between Mkhitaryan and Sucic, I just haven't seen enough from Sucic yet. And as Sterling very correctly mentioned a few weeks ago, after a decent start, it seemed to have slowed down a bit, and we're now probably taking stock of the fact that maybe he's not as far along in his development as we maybe thought he was. So that's that as far as the midfield goes. But Mikko, I want to know what strike force you're going with here. Is it going to be the old faithful Lautaro Thuram?
Probably yes. Yes, we started Bani Thuram against Lecce, then Lautaro Pio against Udinese. And I'm starting to feel that Lautaro Pio is actually our best striking partner at this moment. Lautaro Thuram has worked in previous years, but I don't know, is it that anymore? I feel that Thuram is kind of letting everyone down a bit with his recent form. He's just kind of looking for penalties and free kicks all the time, and he's not putting the effort in as much as kind of is expected, or or I don't know. At least I feel that he should put more effort in. But I expect them to start, but I don't know. It would be nice to really start Pio with Lautaro because, or even I don't know, even Pio with Thuram, would that work? Then Pio would be kind of the number 9, and Thuram would play a different role. I don't know, would that work? Since when Lautaro and Thuram plays, Thuram is the one as the kind of the center forward, number 9 up there. So let's see. That would be probably a surprise for Arteta as well if Pio started. I think he's been playing very, very good lately, and he's kind of getting into the team more and more, and really providing kind of valuable tool for the coach to use there in our attack. He has constantly these good flicks and overall target striker play, which is very useful. But I don't think he's gonna start. I would start him, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
What about
Would be
Lautaro
nice.
Boni?
Lautaro Boni. I don't know. Have we seen that? I guess we've seen it few times.
I'm sure we've seen it here and there, but especially when Thuram was injured. But
Yeah, true.
But I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember it. Is that a sign that it wasn't very memorable?
Perhaps that could be.
I feel like
I feel
Bonnie
that-
went on a bit of a cold streak as well after he started very strongly and then kind of dipped, and then he too was injured for a little bit, wasn't he? And then
Yeah.
he's only recently come back as well to full fitness. So yeah, I don't know. I'm more concerned about. I mean, yeah, realistically, Lautaro Thuram is probably the only option available to us, but I agree with this notion that Thuram's form has been a little bit annoying, for lack of a better word. It's not just poor or that he's like coming from injury. The way he plays just seems very half-assed. Irfan, do you agree with this? Do you think there's something behind the scenes? Do you think he's shaping up for a free transfer to Juventus? What's going on?
Honestly, he has these moments. I think he's had them since he joined us where it's hard to tell if he's fully engaged, if he's really focused and things like that. And then whenever you sort of think that he might not fully be engaged, he goes out and does something crazy. And it seems like that kind of lights a fire in him. And then he has a streak of a bunch of really good games. So I'm hoping that it's just like a little bit of a funk. I feel like if there's any player on our team that really sort of is streaky when it comes to his sort of mentality, dictating his body language and style of play, it really is Thuram. Like I feel like when he's on, he's on. Like, like earlier in the season, he was like carrying us because Lautaro wasn't really scoring. But then it's like the drought has generally pretty much continued, even though he did score a goal or two in that stretch. But overall, his performance, I agree, just hasn't been good. I mean, for someone who has the sort of, physical tools and instincts and ability to play the way he plays, like he could be devastating on his day. Like if he's fully engaged and committed and playing really hard and executing the sort of stuff that he tries to execute, he really gives our attack a different dimension. But I just haven't seen it recently from him. So I don't think there's maybe anything else going on. I don't think there's an angling for a move or anything like that. I mean, I think we've seen that since he's been with us, he's had these sort of stretches, but I think he's definitely in one of those stretches now. And I would love to see maybe like some confidence, like inducing play early in the match or during this match so that he kind of starts to believe in himself again and starts to really fully engage. and is able to sort of execute. I mean, he still does, like, even on an off day, he does a lot of like the dirty work that needs to be done to kind of pull defenders and to hold the ball and to set up attacks and things like that. But that like last little bit of a pass, sometimes the decision making in the final third, and then his ability to score a goal just hasn't really been there. So I think he's been threatening, but it just hasn't really come off. So I'm hoping that, he finds a match soon, and it'd be great if it's this one where he kind of has a sort of confidence building moment and then starts to really sort of be as devastating as we know he can be in the attack. So I'm hoping he turns it around.
You remember, I think it was his return from injury against Barcelona, where he immediately scored from a back flick, like a back heel, um, at the San Siro. Was that not, or was that at Camp Nou?
It was Camp Nou. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that was
Camp
at
Nou.
Camp Nou.
And
Yep.
it was his return from injury, wasn't it? Like he'd spent some time on the sidelines.
I think so. Yeah, because we weren't sure he was going to play. I think.
Yeah, he's a streaky player, but streaky is one thing, and we criticize Lautaro a lot for his own streakiness, but I guess with Lautaro, you don't get the sense that he doesn't give a fuck. If we can give one notion of credit to him, but with Thuram, there just seems to be he seems a little bit too blasé at times. Mikko, am I looking at this too much? Looking into
No.
it too much, rather.
No, I feel exactly the same. I feel he's just being lazy there in a sense that when you are in a box with the ball and you're just expecting the contact, you immediately go down instead of kind of fighting for the scoring chance, fighting for the goal. It to me that's just laziness. That you rather go down. M- Maybe kind of it's this cynical way how you play the game in Serie A that it's easy to get the penalties whenever there's a contact. Is I don't know, autistic referees are immediately looking at every possible contact, and it's a penalty then. But Thuram is kind of overplaying that, and it feels referees are already kind of agreed that okay, this guy dives and he got the yellow card against Lecce. I think it was against Lecce. He got the yellow card for diving, trying to get the penalty, and that. I think he's been asking for that for a while. That's just how he plays, and I think Lautaro played like that when he came into Serie A, but he has got that part of his game off, and if Thuram wants to continue playing at Inter and Serie A at a high level, I think he needs to do that as well. He needs to start fighting more and putting more effort and less this kind of falling down all the time. Even though I
Speaking
agree
of
that
falling down, is Pio doing this too much as well?
yes,
Is it just an
I was
Italian
about to
thing?
I was about to mention that Pio is doing that a bit too much of my liking as well. I think I agree, but but for Thuram, he needs to cut it off and start putting more effort. He's getting kicked like Lautaro. I know he's getting kicked, but I think he just need to eat it and kind of get the real ones and not try to find the penalties all the time. Pio is doing the same thing, and it's hurting him. It's hurting him because referees aren't falling for that. He's getting the free kicks, but not every time he goes down. And to me, it looks like he just try to get the free kicks every time there's a possibility. It almost feels like he's been instructed to go down whenever he feels some contact. And maybe they go wrong sometimes the calls that he should be getting the call, but I think he should just try to play more. He's a strong kid. He should stay up and fight for the ball, fight for the position.
Look, I think Thuram we've diagnosed this before, but he is definitely just a more jovial guy by nature, and he's prone to take things less seriously. And that's one thing, I guess, when he's kind of laughing and enjoying himself, but it's another when he's got the same lackadaisical attitude without the laughter and the smiles and the good times, because then it just looks like he just doesn't give a fuck. And that is, I think, rubs off on people the wrong way. It certainly does for me as well. So anyway, enough about Thuram and his microaggressions. Irfan, I want a prediction for the Arsenal game, please. Give me a scoreline and, of course, a scorer, if there is one.
You're gonna like this. I'm gonna give us a 1-1 draw. I think we have what it takes. Honestly, we're at home. I think some of this Arsenal glazing by the media comes from the fact that they're in the EPL and it's Arsenal. So I'm gonna give us a real shot. I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw for us, and I'm gonna give the goal to the man that we were just talking about, Thuram, who I don't have the stats to back it up, but I will look it up. I think he is a better big game player for us than even Lautaro is. So I'm going to give Thuram the goal in a KG 1-1 affair against Arsenal at the San Siro.
Mikko, yourself, sir?
I'm gonna go with an uneventful 0-0 draw. Arsenal is not gonna put the full effort, and we can't get the goal. And this time, our opponent can't get or won't get this referee helped penalty call, and we end up with a draw, which should be enough for us to keep fighting. Partly kind of hopeful, but I could totally see this happening. What
I
about
was
you?
going to say that the opponents don't even have to play particularly well or even try particularly hard to beat us if they're a big opponent. I feel like the Liverpool game was that, in the fact that they had a lot of injuries, they were in bad form, they didn't really try that hard in that game, but what we gave them was an opponent who tried even less hard and then ultimately gave them a fucking free penalty anyway. So like it was a complete freebie. And that's my kind of concern here, that with the big games, we've just found ways to lose. We've found ways to shoot ourselves in the foot. We've found ways to just go out of our way to lose, which is a really, really, really bad sign as far as I'm concerned. Don't get me wrong, I'm not ignoring the good signs like the resilience against the smaller teams, the sheer consistency of points and goals that we're racking up under Kivu. I think it's a continuation of Inzaghi, who most Interista do not appreciate as much as they should. Having said that, the big game stretch is just really difficult to ignore, because it's not even like, with the exception of the Napoli game, it's not even like we're drawing. It's not even like we're, one win, 5 draws and 6 losses or something. That in itself would be disgraceful, but we're just like a 90% loss streak. It means the team is just kind of capitulating, self-sabotaging, and that's a really bad sign in my opinion. But not for the first time, I'm going to stick my neck out here. I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to say that Arsenal win 1-0 with a goal from Gabriel Martinelli. I don't particularly rate the player, but he scored a couple of late ones recently, so I think he's going to score late in the game after quite an uneventful affair. I think Arsenal will be the better side, and I think he will score in the 82nd minute to condemn us to 3 losses in a row and a 0 out of 8 game record against the big teams. So that's my pick for this one. I'm very sorry, guys, but yeah, that's what I've seen so far.
Unfortunately, that's possible as well. But yeah, gotta see what's gonna happen. before we close, I wanted to ask this before, but have you followed, like, did they rotate against Nottingham Forest at all, Arsenal, or how was the? Are you kind of tracking their
Believe
top
it or
line?
not, believe it or not, I am not. Believe it or not, I'm not following everything Arsenal and or Milan related. Having a look now, it looks like they played pretty much their
Yeah,
more or
looks
less
like
their full strength. Yeah,
Superman Rise.
full strength lineup. Actually, no, I bet that retard
No.
Gyökeres is going to score against us. He's going to score some absolute dog shit goal and do his fucking, hands over mouth mask celebration like a dickhead he is. Oh, God. It was a $70 million flop who plays like fucking Arnautovic, but worse. Come on, guys. I don't want to lose to these guys.
Okay, they had a Saka on the bench and Merino and Eze. Well, yeah, that's a quite roster Arteta has there. But yeah, let's hope we can absorb this monster.
Well, it's time for the Jay's hot betting tip of the week. This week I'm going for two former Inter managers coming head to head. I am talking about Juventus versus Benfica in the Champions League. Obviously, Spalletti and Mourinho. Mourinho is the finished one, and despite Spalletti recently succumbing to a surprise loss in Cagliari, I think Juventus are going to demolish Benfica. I'm going to give it 4-2 to Juventus, and I'll throw in a bonus here as well. Copenhagen-Napoli. I think Copenhagen win 1-0. So those are the two Champions League betting tips of the week. Irfan, will you give us a bit of a, have a good week, guys, kind of message to all the fans out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Should be an exciting week. We just came off of 6 points. The trajectory is looking up. We got a very important match with all the eyes on us. Whenever we play an EPL team, it's like the only time we're really relevant on the international stage. So looking forward to putting in a good display, and let's hope that when we recap the Arsenal match, we're talking about it positively. So go team, and have a good week, and let's get this done.
And Mikko, will you see us out the door?
Forza Inter. Forza. Bye bye.